I watched my daughter-in-law hurl a brown leather suitcase into the freezing water of Table Rock Lake and drive away without a single glance back. I scrambled to the shore, battling the pull of the muddy bank, and wrestled the soaked bag out of the water. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. That's when I heard it. A muffled, weak sound coming from inside. "Please, God, don't let it be what I think it is," I whispered, my trembling fingers fumbling with the wet zipper. It was stuck, but finally gave way. In that instant, my heart simply stopped. What I saw inside chilled me to the bone in a way I hadn't felt in all my 63 years of life. My name is Patricia, but everyone calls me Patsy Jenkins. I'm 63 years old, and I've been living alone in our old farmhouse, nestled by the shore of Table Rock Lake in rural Missouri, since I buried my only child, Luke, 8 months ago. Our house used to be filled with laughter and the smell of fresh-baked biscuits. Now it felt too large, too quiet. That September afternoon, I was sipping my sweet tea on the back porch when something caught my attention. The silver sedan belonging to Ashley Cole, my daughter-in-law, barreled down the dirt road, kicking up a thick cloud of dust. She was driving like a maniac at an insane speed for that winding road. Something was terribly wrong. I set my mug on the porch railing and squinted to get a better look. Ashley slammed on the brakes right at the lake's edge, the engine still running. She sprang out of the car as if the devil himself was chasing her. Her face was flushed, her hair a mess. She yanked the trunk open so violently I thought she'd rip the door right off its hinges. That's when I saw the suitcase. That brown leather suitcase I'd given her myself the day she married Luke. "To carry your dreams wherever you go," I'd told her then. How foolish I'd been. Ashley dragged the bag out. It was heavy. I could tell by the way her body strained, the way her arms trembled. She glanced around, nervous, guilty. I'll never forget that look. "Ashley!" I yelled from the porch, but she didn't hear me or pretended not to. She walked to the water's edge. Every step seemed like a struggle, as if she were carrying not just a weight, but a terrible burden. She swung the suitcase once, twice, and on the third heave, she launched it into the water. The splash shattered the afternoon silence. The bag floated for a moment before beginning its slow, dreadful descent. Ashley bolted back to the car. The engine roared, the tires squealed on the gravel, and she vanished down the dirt road, leaving nothing behind but swirling dust and a thick silence. I stood paralyzed for a few seconds. What had I just witnessed? Ashley, the suitcase, the lake, the pure desperation in her movements. A shiver ran down my spine. My legs started moving before my mind could fully process what was happening. I ran down the porch steps, across the yard, and onto the muddy bank. The lake was only about 300 feet away. I ran like I hadn't run in years. My knees protested, my chest burned, but I didn't stop. When I reached the shore, I was gasping for breath, my heart hammering against my ribs. The suitcase was still there, slowly sinking. I waded into the water without hesitation. The lake was cold, much colder than I expected. It reached my knees, then my waist. I reached out, grabbed one of the handles, and pulled. It was incredibly heavy. I yanked harder, my arms shaking from the effort. Finally, I managed to drag the suitcase toward the bank. That's when I heard the sound. A weak, muffled cry coming from inside the bag. My blood ran cold. "Please, God, don't let it be what I think," I pleaded. I pulled faster, driven by pure panic. I hauled the suitcase onto the wet sand and fell to my knees beside it. My hands sought the zipper. It was jammed, wet, and slightly rusted. My fingers kept slipping. Come on," I muttered through gritted teeth. Tears started to blur my vision. I forced the zipper. Once. Twice. It finally gave way. I lifted the lid, and the whole world stopped. My heart stopped beating. The air was trapped in my throat. My hands flew to my mouth to stifle the scream. Wrapped in a soaked powder blue blanket was a baby, a newborn. So tiny, so fragile, so still. His lips were blue, his skin pale as wax. "Oh my God! Oh my God! No!" I lifted him out of the suitcase. He was cold, so cold. His tiny head fit in the palm of my hand. His umbilical cord was still tied off with a piece of ordinary twine, not a medical clamp, as if someone had done this at home in secret. "No, No," I whispered over and over. I pressed my ear to his chest. Silence. Nothing. I pressed my cheek against his nose, and then I felt the faintest puff of air. So weak I thought I'd imagined it. But it was there. He was barely breathing, but he was breathing. I scrambled to my feet, clutching the baby to my chest. I ran toward the house, faster than I'd ever run in my life. I burst into the kitchen, screaming. I grabbed the phone, dialed 911. 911? What is your emergency?" A calm female voice asked. "A baby. I found a baby in the lake. He's not responding. He's cold. He's blue. Please send help." The operator instructed me to place the baby on a flat surface. I swept everything off the kitchen table with one arm. I placed the baby on the table. So small, so fragile. "Is he breathing?" I shrieked. "You tell me." "Look at his chest. Is it moving?" "Yes, I think so. Very shallow." "Okay, listen closely. I need you to get a clean towel and dry the baby very gently. Then wrap him up to keep him warm. The ambulance is already on the way." I did as I was told. I dried his tiny body with clumsy, desperate motions. I wrapped the baby tightly in clean towels. I picked him up again, cradling him against my chest. "Hold on, little one," I whispered. "Please hold on. They're coming to help you." The sirens tore through the silence. Red and white lights flashed through the windows. 2 paramedics jumped out. The young woman with dark hair, Nurse Karen, took the baby from my arms with an efficiency that broke my heart. "Severe hypothermia, possible aspiration," she told her partner. "We need to move now." They placed him on a small gurney, put an oxygen mask on him. The man looked at me. "Are you coming with us?" I climbed into the ambulance. "How did you find him?" Nurse Karen asked as she continued working. "In a suitcase in the lake." "I saw someone throw it in. Did you see who it was?" I opened my mouth, then closed it. "Ashley, my daughter-in-law, Luke's widow. The woman who had cried at his funeral as if her world had ended, the same woman who had just tried to drown a baby." "Yes," I finally said. "I saw who it was." We arrived at the Springfield Regional Medical Center in less than 15 minutes. The emergency room doors flew open. I tried to follow, but a nurse stopped me. "Ma'am, you need to stay here. The doctors are working. We need some information." I recounted every detail to the older nurse, Diane, who had kind wrinkles around her eyes. "The police will want to speak with you," she said. "This is attempted homicide, maybe worse." "My daughter-in-law, a murderer." I couldn't process it. 2 hours passed before a young doctor came out. "The baby is stable," he said. "He's in the neonatal ICU for now. He suffered severe hypothermia and aspirated water. The next 48 hours are critical." "Is he going to live?" I asked, my voice broken. "I don't know," he said with brutal honesty. "We're going to do everything we can." The police arrived half an hour later. Detective Sergeant Lena Ortiz of the Stone County Sheriff's Department. She had dark eyes that seemed to look right through lies. They asked me the same questions over and over. "And are you sure it was your daughter-in-law?" Completely sure? Completely. Why would she do something like that? I don't know. Detective Ortiz watched me with an intensity that made me feel guilty. And what is your relationship with Ashley? Do you get along? The question hung in the air. We're not close, I admitted. Do you blame her for your son's death? What? My voice was too loud, too defensive. Luke was driving home after dinner with Ashley. It was raining. The car skidded. He died instantly. Ashley walked away with minor scratches. It always seemed strange to me, always seemed convenient, but I never had proof. I don't see what that has to do with the baby, I said. It has everything to do with it, Lena said, closing her folder. Because we haven't been able to locate Ashley. She's vanished, and you are the only person who claims to have seen her yesterday. Her words fell on me like ice water. She was accusing me. She thought I had made it all up, that I had found the baby some other way and was blaming Ashley out of vengeance. I didn't lie, I said, clenching my jaw. I saw what I saw. Then we need to find Ashley, and fast. I sat there, wondering if I was losing my mind. I had seen Ashley. I was sure of it, but now, doubt was seeping in like poison. Later that afternoon, the social worker, Marcy, showed up. Ms. Jenkins, she said, the baby is going to need a temporary home when he's released from the hospital. CPS will look for certified foster families. What if I wanted to care for him? The words came out before I could stop them. Marcy looked at me, skeptical. Ms. Jenkins, you are 63 years old. You have no legal relationship with the baby, and you are involved in an active criminal investigation. And frankly, your age and your recent emotional situation are factors we have to consider. Too old, too unstable, too broken. Maybe she was right. But when I closed my eyes, all I saw was that fragile little body, and I knew no one else in the world would love him like I could. That night, I went home for the first time in 36 hours. I drove home as the sun was setting. I stopped in the exact spot where I had seen Ashley, where I had pulled out the suitcase. The suitcase was gone, taken by the police, but I could see my own footprints in the dried mud. I stood there as darkness fell, wondering if I would ever know the truth. Then my phone rang. It was the hospital. Ms. Jenkins, Nurse Karen's voice said, you need to come back now. I drove back, my heart pounding. Nurse Karen was waiting for me. He's alive, she said immediately. The baby is alive, but you have to come with me. She led me to a small conference room. Inside were Detective Lena Ortiz, Marcy the social worker, and a man I didn't recognize, a specialist in forensic genetics. We received the results of the baby's DNA analysis, Lena said. And? I asked, when the silence became unbearable. The man, Dr. Ernest Soto, opened a folder. The baby is a boy. He was born approximately 3 days ago. And Patsy, he is your grandson. The world stopped. My grandson? Impossible. Luke died 8 months ago. He didn't leave any children? The results are conclusive, Dr. Soto said. He is definitively your biological grandson. Luke's son. Luke had a son he never knew, a son someone had tried to drown in a lake. But how? I whispered. Luke died 8 months ago. Ashley never said anything about a pregnancy. Exactly, Lena said. Ashley was pregnant at the time of the accident. According to our calculations, she conceived about a month before Luke's death, which means she knew. Ashley knew she was pregnant when Luke died. Why did she hide the pregnancy? Why did she give birth in secret and then try to kill her own child? That's what we have to find out, Lena said. But there's more. We've been investigating your son's accident, and there are inconsistencies. Major inconsistencies. What kind of inconsistencies? Luke's car was examined. They found evidence of manipulation in the brakes. Someone sabotaged them. Sabotage? Murder. My son hadn't died in an accident. He had been murdered. Ashley, I said. It wasn't a question. She's our primary suspect, Lena admitted, but we need proof, and we need to find her. My son, I whispered against the window glass. My baby, she killed him. Patsy, Marcy said softly, given that the baby is your biological grandson, you have legal rights. You can apply for custody. She held up a hand before I could speak. It will be a long process. There will be evaluations, home visits, and psychological interviews. And in the meantime, the baby will remain in state care. No! The word came out as a roar. You're not going to take him from me. He's all I have left of Luke. He's my grandson, my blood. I understand, Marcy said, but the system has protocols. And after everything that happened, we have to make sure the baby is safe. I turned back to Lena. How can I help you? I need to find Ashley. Think. Did Ashley ever mention any special place? Any property? Any friend or relative she might be hiding with? She has an aunt, I suddenly said. Up north, near the border. Luke mentioned it once. He said Ashley grew up with her in a place called Tucson. It's a start, Lena said. We'll investigate. Days turned into weeks. I spent every day next to Leo's, Luke's choice for his first son, incubator. The doctors had named him Leo for the hospital records. He was my blood, my family, and I wasn't going to let anyone take him away from me. The bureaucratic nightmare began. I had to complete a criminal background check, a complete psychological evaluation, a medical exam, income verification, and a home inspection. And you have to complete a 40-hour childcare course, Marcy read from her list. 40 hours, as if I hadn't raised a child to adulthood, but I nodded and took the paper. I didn't feel strong. I felt old, tired, scared. But every time I looked at Leo, fighting for every breath, I knew I would do whatever it took. On the 5th day, Lena returned with news. We found Ashley's aunt. She says Ashley hasn't seen her in 2 years. She says Ashley owed her money. Money? It always came back to money with Ashley. Did she receive the insurance? Lena nodded. 4 months ago, $200,000 deposited into her account. 2 weeks later, she transferred everything to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. We're trying to trace it, but it's complicated. $200,000, the value of my son's life. We have a theory, Lena finally said. We were looking into Luke's finances. We found something interesting. 2 weeks before he died, he changed his will. He left everything to his future children, not to Ashley, to his children. Luke knew. Somehow, he knew Ashley was pregnant, and he changed his will to protect his son. So she killed him for money, I whispered. And then she discovered the money would go to the baby if he was born alive. So she decided to eliminate him too. The sheer malice of it left me speechless. She had killed my son. She had carried the pregnancy to term. She had given birth alone. And then she had tried to drown her own baby, all for money. 6 weeks after finding Leo in the lake, Marcy showed up at the hospital with a small smile. You've completed all the requirements. The judge will review your case next week. If all goes well, you could have temporary custody in 2 weeks. But that same night, my phone rang. It was Lena. Patsy, I need you to come to the precinct now. We found something. Something about Luke you need to see. I arrived at the precinct with a knot in my stomach. On the table was a cardboard box. Inside, Luke's belongings. "We finally managed to unlock his phone," Lena said. "We found something." She spread several printed sheets on the table. Text messages between Luke and Ashley, dated 2 weeks before his death. I read the first one, from Luke to Ashley. "We need to talk. Found out about the baby." Ashley's response: "I don't know what you're talking about." Luke again: "I found the pregnancy test in the bathroom. Why didn't you tell me? This is wonderful." Ashley: "I don't want to have it. I want to travel, live, not be tied down to a baby." Luke: "It's our son. We can make it work." Ashley: "I want my life back." And then, the last exchange, the day before the accident. Luke: "Ashley, I spoke with a lawyer. If you have the baby and don't want to raise it, I'll fight for full custody. I'm not going to let you hurt my son." Ashley: "Luke, you're going to regret this." The next day, Luke was dead. "She killed him," I said. "She killed him because he was going to protect the baby." And there's more. We checked Ashley's phone records. She made 3 calls to an independent mechanic, Calvin Jones. We brought him in for questioning. Lena's jaw tightened. He admitted she paid him $2,000 to sabotage Luke's car brakes. He's arrested now as an accomplice to murder. And Ashley? We have a warrant for her arrest for first-degree murder and attempted homicide, but we still haven't found her. The court hearing was scheduled for a Tuesday. I wore my best suit. The judge, a woman in her 50s, reviewed all my documents. "Ms. Jenkins," she said, "I have reviewed your case carefully. It is highly unusual, but it is also unusual for a grandmother to save her grandson from drowning. I have spoken with the hospital, with the social workers, with your references, and they all say the same thing, that you are dedicated, loving, capable, and that this baby was lucky you were there that day." A long, endless pause. "Therefore, I am granting temporary custody to Patricia Jenkins for a period of 6 months." "Congratulations, Grandma." The gavel struck. I cried right there in the courtroom. 3 days later, 6 weeks after pulling him from the lake, I took Leo home. Nurse Karen helped me buckle him into the car seat. I drove home at 12 miles per hour. Every bump terrified me. We arrived safely. I walked into the house with Leo in my arms. He looked so small, so vulnerable, but he was breathing. He was alive. He was safe. The first few weeks were exhausting, but there were also moments of pure magic when Leo held my finger with his tiny hand, when he stopped crying at the sound of my voice, when he opened those small, dark eyes, identical to Luke's, and looked at me as if I were his whole world. 3 weeks after bringing him home, I found something. I was organizing Luke's things. At the bottom of a box, I found a worn, brown leather journal. I opened it. The last entry was from the day he died. Ashley threatened me today. She said I would regret pressuring her about the baby. I'm going to talk to Mom tomorrow. Tell her everything. I just know I can't let Ashley hurt our son. I will protect him always. He died that night. I never knew he needed help. I'm sorry, I whispered to the journal. I should have known. I took the journal to Lena Ortiz the next day. This is crucial evidence, Patsy. It shows premeditation. When are you going to find her? I asked. It's been almost 2 months. But 3 days later, everything changed. I was feeding Leo when my phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? I said. Silence. Breathing. Then a voice I recognized immediately. Patsy, it's Ashley. My blood ran cold. Where are you? It doesn't matter where I am. What matters is that I have something you want, and you have something I want. You want answers, and I want my son and the money. You have nothing I want. I know the truth. I read Luke's journal. I know you killed him for money. I know you're a monster. A cold, humorless laugh. A monster? How dramatic. You don't know anything, Patsy. Luke wasn't the saint you think he was. Don't you dare, I roared. Fine. You're going to call the police. Go ahead. By the time you hang up this call, I'll be gone. I use burner phones. I'm not stupid. My mind raced. I had to keep her talking. I put the phone on speaker and grabbed my cell. I started recording. What do you want, Ashley? I want my son, and I want the money. The $200,000 from the insurance, plus everything Luke left in a fund for the baby, that's another $300,000. $500,000 total. And if I refuse, then I'll come looking for him. I'm his biological mother. Legally, I have more rights than you, and when they finally catch me, I'll say you stole my baby, that you threatened me, that you made up the whole Lake story to keep him. My word against yours. And I'm much younger, more credible, more sympathetic. How do I know you won't just kill both of us and take everything anyway? You don't. But it's your only option. Bring the baby and the money to the old boathouse by the lake. You know the one where you and Luke used to fish. Tomorrow at midnight, alone. Ashley, wait! But the line was already dead. I had the recording. I called Lena Ortiz immediately. I sent her the audio. Perfect, she said. It's exactly what we needed. Now we're going to set a trap. You go to that meeting, but we'll be there, hidden, waiting. And when she shows up, we'll grab her. What if something goes wrong? What if she sees the police and runs again? She won't see us. I promise. I'll have snipers positioned, teams in the shadows. She won't get away this time. And Leo stays with Karen in a safe place. You're not taking him. You're just pretending to bring him. The next day passed in slow motion. At 9 a.m., Nurse Karen came to get Leo. I kissed him. I love you, little one, I whispered. Grandma will be back soon. At 2 p.m., Lena arrived with 3 other officers. They turned my living room into a command center. Let's go over the plan again, Lena said, spreading a map on my dining room table. The boathouse is here. Abandoned 5 years ago. Snipers here and here. Assault teams back here, ready to enter the moment we have visual confirmation of Ashley. And what exactly am I supposed to do? You go in. You talk to her. You keep her talking. We need her to confess. To admit she killed Luke. You'll be wearing a hidden microphone. A tall officer took out a small, button-sized device. This goes on your clothes. It transmits everything in real time. It also has a panic button. If you press it 3 times in a row, we enter immediately, no matter what. At 10 p.m., they put the microphone on me. Lena looked me in the eyes. You are not alone in there. I will be listening to every word. The team will be just feet away. At the slightest sign of real danger, we go in. I won't let anything happen to you. At 11:40 p.m., we arrived at the boathouse. Lena got out of the car in a blind spot and disappeared into the shadows. I was alone. I looked at the clock. 11:55 p.m. 5 minutes. I thought about Luke, about Leo, about all the things he deserved to have. A life without fear. Midnight. My phone vibrated. A text from an unknown number. Go in. Alone. Now. I got out of the car. The night air was cold. I walked toward the boathouse's main door. It was ajar. I pushed it. It creaked. Inside, it was dark. Ashley! I called out. Close the door, Ashley's voice said from the shadows. I closed the door. My eyes adjusted to the darkness, and then I saw her, standing in the center. She was wearing dark clothes, a hooded sweatshirt. You came, she said. You said you wanted to talk, I said. I want answers first. I want to know why. Why did you kill Luke? Why did you try to kill Leo?" She laughed. "Why do you think, Patsy? For the money. Luke was a foolish romantic. He talked about love and family. I wanted freedom. I wanted to travel, live, not be tied down to a house and a crying baby." "Then why did you marry him?" "Because he was an engineer. He earned well. He had savings. He had life insurance. It was an investment. I was going to wait 5 years, divorce him, take half of everything. But then I got pregnant, and that ruined my plan." Her words were venom. "Luke changed his will, everything to the baby. So I had to adapt. Kill Luke, have the baby. Kill him too. Keep everything." She was confessing everything. Every word was recorded, transmitted. The police were listening. "You failed. I saved him." "Yes, that was annoying, but it doesn't matter, because now I'm going to finish the job. Where is Leo? Where are they?" "I'm not giving him to you." And then I saw the weapon. She pulled it from her sweatshirt, small, black, pointed directly at my chest. "Last chance. Where is my son?" I pressed the panic button 1, 2, 3 times. "You're never going to touch him," I said. Her finger moved to the trigger. Everything seemed to move in slow motion. I saw the flash. I heard the shot. I felt something hit my shoulder. Hot, burning. I fell backward. And then the boathouse exploded into motion. Doors burst open, blinding lights, voices yelling, "Police! Drop the weapon! Get on the ground now!" I saw Ashley turn. I saw the guns pointing at her. She slowly lowered the weapon. She let it drop to the floor. 3 officers tackled her, pinned her face down, and handcuffed her. She was screaming insults, threats, but it didn't matter. She was arrested. It was over. Lena ran to me, kneeling by my side. "Patsy! Stay with me. Are you hit?" "I'm fine," I managed to say. "You got her. Tell me you got her." "We got her." "It's over now. Stay still." "The ambulance is on the way." I closed my eyes. It was enough. It was finally over. I woke up in the hospital again. My shoulder hurt, where the bullet had grazed the muscle, but it had missed the bone. "Lucky," the doctor said. Nurse Karen was sitting next to me, holding Leo. "Look who woke up," she said. I took Leo with my good arm. He smelled of powder and hope. "Hello, my love," I whispered. "Grandma's fine." "Everything's fine now." Lena showed up an hour later. "How do you feel?" "Like someone who's been shot, but alive." "What happened to Ashley?" "Arrested, charged with first-degree murder for Luke, attempted homicide for Leo, attempted homicide for you, plus a laundry list of other crimes. The recording worked perfectly. She confessed everything. She's going to spend the rest of her life in prison without the possibility of parole." 2 months after Ashley's capture, I had another hearing with the judge. This time, the judge was smiling. "Ms. Jenkins," she said, "I have reviewed all the reports from the last 6 months. Leo is thriving in your care. He is healthy, happy, loved. Therefore, I am granting full and permanent custody of Leo to Patricia Jenkins, effective immediately. Furthermore, given that the biological mother is incarcerated for life and has forfeited all parental rights, I authorize adoption proceedings if you wish to pursue them." "Adoption? To make him legally mine?" "Yes. Yes," I said without hesitation. "Yes, I want to adopt him." "Then so it shall be. Officially. Congratulations, Grandma." The gavel fell, and suddenly all the weight I had been carrying for months lifted. It was official. Leo was mine. No one could ever take him away again. I walked out of the courthouse with Leo in my arms. He was 8 months old now, chunky and happy. He smiled, showing 2 tiny teeth. Months turned into years. Leo grew, He started walking at 11 months. His first word was, Nana. I cried when he said it. I talked to him about Luke constantly. Your daddy was a good man, I told him. He loved you even before he met you. He gave his life to protect you. On Leo's 5th birthday, we had a party in the backyard. Nurse Karen and Lena Ortiz sat next to me on the porch. What are you thinking about? Karen asked. That day, I admitted. How I could have been 5 minutes later. How everything could have been different, but it wasn't. I found him. I saved him. It was your destiny, Lena said. Or Luke's. He guided your eyes to the lake that day. He knew you would protect his son. That night, after everyone had left, I looked at Luke's photo. We did it, Luke, I whispered. Your son is safe. He's happy. He's growing up strong and good, just like you wanted. I don't know what the future holds, but I know that every day with Leo is a gift. Every smile, every hug, every, I love you, Nana. I would do it all over again. I would face Ashley. I would take the shot. I would fight the entire system. Just to have this child in my life. I chose to fight. I chose to love. I chose to believe that even in the ashes of the deepest loss, something new can grow. And it did. His name is Leo, and he is my son.